Welcome to Paint a Beautiful Picture. I am so excited to have you with me today because this is a wonderful lesson about nurturing something in your child that you might not have ever thought of before. Do you have a strong-willed child? I mean, a kid who fights you tooth and nail about every single thing in the world. And it started when they were little. You say, don't touch that. And what do? They grab it right in front of your face. And you say, don't do that. And they look at you with great intention in their mind and they turn around and yeah, you understand the kind of kid I'm talking about. Do you know that a will is a great gift, actually given to us by God Himself? He gave us self will. He actually told Adam in the garden, now, Adam, you can eat everything, you take care of things, you're doing a great job. Just, I need you to leave this one thing alone. But he allowed Adam to choose. Do you know that that ability to choose, that will, that decision for ourselves, that's a great gift, an amazing gift. And your child has a will. Now, here's the thing, you have to nurture and challenge and direct that will with a certain amount of wisdom, or they're liable to grow up and be willful. And sometimes very willful men try to control and coerce and even beat their wives and children. And sometimes very willful women grow up to be, I'm sorry, I'm going to use the correct word, real witches who try to run the world and with no kindness and with very little conscience. So we understand what a self-willed person who's out of control can look like. So you want to nurture your child's will, allowing them to make choices while understanding that they don't have to be willful and disagreeable and awful. And you say, how on earth am I supposed to do that? I'm really happy you asked me. So I demonstrated to you that with my children, I would put 3 outfits on the bed each day, and in the morning, they were able to choose. They exercised their will. I want to, that's a sign of will, wear this, and I don't want to wear that. That's a sign of will. When you say to them, what would you like to have for breakfast? And you give them options, you don't just let them try to figure this out. Although when they're older, that's okay. But I'm talking a kid, 3 to 10 probably. You say, what would you like for breakfast? You can have scrambled eggs with bacon and toast. You can have a bowl of cereal with fresh fruit. You can have yogurt and, 2 pieces of toast or a blueberry bagel with cream cheese. What would you like for breakfast? You let them exercise their will by choosing, and you're nurturing their will. Rather than letting it run wild, you're actually nurturing it and you're allowing them to make good decisions. Okay, now I'm going to go into this, and you may not think of it in this way, so I hope in a sense this is going to be a new thought or a new direction for you. If you have a child who's 9 or 10 or older, and you're just starting with me now, this kid really hasn't had to do much. He sits around and plays video games all day. She's on the phone with her friends. She's running to dance and horseback riding lessons and just doing whatever he or she would like to do, but not having to do anything that contributes to the household. And suddenly you say, okay, we're going to institute a new set of policies. And that means you're going to be doing the dishes. You're going to unload the dishwasher. You're going to be sweeping the floor. I'm going to be teaching you how to run a washing machine. And in a couple of years, you're going to be doing your own laundry. Yes, I said that out loud. From the time my sons were 13, I never touched their clothing again, just so you know. Anyway, but you give them age appropriate things and you say, here is the deal. You do this, and I do this. You don't do this, and these are the consequences. So you're literally teaching them that every choice has a result. We understand that. If you went to school, you heard this. Every action has an equal reaction, but usually on the other side. All right, so you say to your child, you do your chores. You do them in a timely manner. That means every day after dinner, you get up and sweep the floor. Every day after dinner, you wash off the table. Every morning, you get up 5 minutes sooner than you would have and you empty the dishwasher and put those things away. Pretty soon, they start to develop these habits, and their will, by their own choice, is to contribute to the family and to learn some responsibility. What if you have a kid who's like, I'm not going to do that. You're not going to make me. Well, if this is new to them, that really could be their response. And you say to them, you're right. You don't have to do that. But you know what? If you don't do that, I'm the person with the car keys and you don't have a driver's license. And you won't be going to your friends after school. Mom, you already said I can go there. Yes. And I also already said you're going to be helping out with things around the house. So you do the things that you should do. I'll do the things you think I should do. But if you don't do the things which you need to do, I'm not going to do what you think I need to do. You're not in charge of the world. This is a relationship. And in relationships, there are give and take on both sides. You're actually nurturing in your child an understanding and a desire to do the right thing by strong influence at times. So they say, Mom, I think I need braces. Or Dad, I really think I need to get a guitar. You're like, okay, now let's talk. Have you been regularly contributing by doing the things that are your responsibility? Gives a kid a chance to assess how he's doing. If he really looks at you and says, yeah, I did everything you said. I've been keeping my grades up. I've been contributing in the house. I've been helping out. I've been listening to you, what you say when you ask me to do certain things that aren't on my list. Yeah, I've definitely done it. You say, okay, great. I'm not saying you withhold things like getting necessary dental care to your child. Please don't misunderstand me. But you know what? Braces are not a given. And to make a child wait a month or two longer than they thought because all their friends have braces and their teeth are barely crooked, you're not doing any harm. You're using the influence granted you as a parent to influence their will and, frankly, to train and direct their will. A will is a great gift, but it can be also poorly used and badly misused. So teach them what to do with that will. Someone asked me a question recently about a foster child, which of course they didn't have the foundational time in that child's life. That child is older. And I knew a couple that had 4 foster children, and 3 of those foster children they could handle. One of those foster children was so manipulative and so out of control that after about a year's time, they actually gave that foster child up. They could never bring that foster child to a place of submitting his will to the will of those who are trying to care for him. I want to talk to you for 1 second about that word submission. It's been greatly misused in a lot of places, and I want to tell you what it is. If you are well educated and you have your own well developed thoughts and ideas, and your friend is well educated and has their own well developed thoughts and ideas, you are equals. You're having a conversation, you say, I'd really love to eat Greek. Your friend says, no, 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 I want to go eat Mexican. No, you don't understand. I really want to eat Greek. And you go back and forth. There isn't a right or a wrong. But sooner or later, if you're going to go together, someone has to submit. That is an act of your own will. And you say, okay, great. We'll go eat Greek. And you submit your will to the will of someone that you care about who is your equal, and you go eat Greek. That is what submission is. It's not coercion, it is not the use of force, it is not abuse, it is not manipulation. None of those things are submission. It is a personal choice by an act of the will to give in to the will of another. That's your ultimate goal with your child. That you have enough relationship and enough influence that your child, by their own choice, will submit their will to yours. And in doing that, you run a very smooth and very effective household. But we'll go back to the foster child situation. You have this kid, he is out of control. His own will is out of control. The people who have been in his world are out of control. And let's be truthful, over 80% of foster children at some point have been abused, whether emotionally or physically or sexually. You really have to take that into account that they might have reasons why they're struggling to trust you. But you say to them, now, in our home, we have an established set of guidelines, and that means everyone contributes, including you. You might start with an older child and say, what would you like to do? I don't really want to do nothing. Well, that is not an option. So if you got to choose, again, you're nurturing their will in a healthy way. Would you rather take out the trash, which only happens once a day? Would you rather unload the dishwasher, which only happens once a day in the evening? Would you rather sweep the floor after dinner? Would you rather vacuum? That's only about once a week. What would you like to do? And say if you really don't know, if you haven't done any of those things before, I'll show you how it's done. Never assume a child knows what to do. If you've not shown them, they probably really don't know how to do it. Don't be angry and unfair and all bent out of shape. You don't even know how to run a vacuum cleaner? Well, how would they know how to run a vacuum cleaner? You need to show them. I promise you something about this that even my sons did not understand when they were older till I went over and over, and they grew up with me. I said, when you go forward, you suck up a certain amount of dirt, but when you come backward, you even get more if you go slowly. And oh, you go in multiple directions when you vacuum so that you get all the fibers of the carpet cleaned up. There's a really basic one for you that helps kids. You just have to show them and explain it to them. And you say, well, what did you think about that? Well, that was pretty boring. Okay, well, how would you like to try dusting? How would you like to try loading and unloading the dishwasher? If you have a kid who's really careless and he breaks a lot of stuff, don't set yourself and the kid up for a lot of frustration emptying and loading the dishwasher unless you have plastic dishes. Save everybody a headache. In other words, not everything is ideally suited to every person in your household. That's okay. That's what division of labor is about. But you allow the child the opportunity to exercise their will and develop their will in a really positive way that brings them a sense of empowerment. I chose this as my chore, so I'm a whole lot more likely to do it than something that was just dumped on me. Let me acknowledge something to you, moms and dads. In many households, there is a very inequitable division of labor. The mom says, honey, will you take out the trash? And the dad's like, do you know what your son is going to say the next time your mom says, would you take out the trash? He's going to be like, uh, again. If you're going to nurture a cooperation of wills in your children, mom and dad, you need to nurture a cooperation of wills in your relationship. You need to have a discussion probably about what do I do and what does the other person do. And ideally, you're going to come to a place where both of you are empowered enough because you chose the responsibilities between you. And instead of having to get hassled every week, you just say, wow, it's Tuesday night after dinner while the kids are sweeping the floor. I'll take out the trash. Demonstrate to your kids what a healthy exercise of will actually looks at. Now, let me show you this one more thing. When you have a child who fights you at every turn, they're trying to establish and exert their will. Do you know a kid, especially a foster kid, and maybe your own, if you're starting kind of later in life with this concept, who's never gotten to exert their will in a healthy way? They will exert their will one way or the other. They might pitch a fit. They might refuse to go to bed. You might be trying to get out the door and they're like, I didn't even get anything to eat for breakfast yet. Well, I made you breakfast, but you didn't choose to eat it. Don't yell and scream, just acknowledge you did not choose. I'm noticing your will. You don't have to say that to them. You and I, as parents, don't have to tell everything that we know. But I'm noticing your will at play here. You didn't choose to eat breakfast? Well, so you know what you chose on the other side? You chose to be hungry all morning. That was your choice. Let them make some choices. Let them exert that will. Let them find out what that feels like and what that looks like. One of the tougher things when you have multiple children is one children is willing to submit his will, and one child wants to fight you, fight you, fight you, fight you. You know what you do? You let that child who's been fighting you go without, and you reward that other child for his willingness to be cooperative. Oh, this is going to cause some challenges, I promise you. But the child who refuses to submit his will, just like in society, we do this with people. Those who won't cooperate, they get into trouble. Those who go along, they don't. It is a real story. So the one who's cooperating, they get the reward. And the one who's been fighting you tooth and nail, they don't get it. Oh, that's social pressure. It'll do some good things for that child's will. He'll find out, well, I think I need to make a different choice because this one really isn't working out for me. You need to nurture the will of your child, and you need to nurture it in a positive way. You need to nurture it in a way that helps them understand I do have choices, and those choices have consequences. My challenge for you today in your notebook is to write down how am I doing at fostering my child's will in a positive way? And if you have a child who's difficult, you might also put in there what challenges am I facing with my child's will? The reason this is such a big thing is I was a very strong willed child, and my oldest son is one of the most strong willed people I have ever known. Do you know that strong willed people get a lot of things done in this world? They have a lot to contribute, and often they are the motivators and the shakers in the world. If someone breaks that child's will or thwarts that child's will, they might go in an entirely different direction. So I want to encourage you today, nurture your child's will, and you will have great results, and so will your child. Thank you for joining me today. You may find additional information on our paintabeautifulpicture.com website. Additionally, you may watch me on Rumble, and you may also listen to a podcast on Buzzsprout or Spreaker, all under the name Paint a Beautiful Picture. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. You may subscribe, and if you are interested in receiving notifications, please hit the notifications button.